Hello and good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you guys to the City of South Fulton's Development Authority meeting for today, June 28th, 2021. I hope everyone had a great Memorial Day holiday and a great Juneteenth. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. This is a roll call for the June 28th regular meeting. The Honorable Mark Baker, Chairman.
Present.
The Honorable Jamal Grooms, Vice Chairman. The Honorable Arnold, Jiggetts, Secretary Treasurer.
Present.
The Honorable Thant, Coleman, Director.
Present.
The Honorable Alicia, Ivey, Director.
Present.
The Honorable Mercedes Miller, Director.
Present.
The Honorable Andrew Pierson, Director.
Present.
And the Honorable Derek Pollard, Director.
Present.
And the Honorable Rick Ross, Director.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Please sound the first item.
The next item is item 3 on your agenda, which is approval of the meeting agenda.
I'll entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve the agenda.
I second. Ivey.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. Mr. Clerk.
It's roll call vote. Chairman Baker,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Grooms, Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts,
Aye.
Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Ivey,
Aye.
Director Miller,
Aye.
Director Pierson,
Aye.
Director Pollard,
Aye.
Director Ross.
Aye.
That item was approved unanimously.
Copy, Mr. Clerk. Please sound the next item.
Next item, item 4, approval of the April 26, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes.
Second, Pollard.
Probably moved in second. In discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. Mr. Clerk.
Roll call vote for approval. Chairman Baker,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Grooms, Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts,
Aye.
Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Ivey,
Aye.
Director Miller,
Aye.
Director Pierson,
Aye.
Director Pollard,
Aye.
and Director Ross.
Aye.
That item was approved unanimously.
Recording in progress.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, you sound the next item.
Next item is item 5, public comment. Chairman and members of the Development Authority, we did not receive any public comment, formal public comment for today's meeting.
Copy received, Mr. Clerk. If we do receive any electronic information regarding that request that was made, I think someone did want to, maybe they changed their mind. But if you still have that information, I would like to provide them with that information if it's provided to us.
Yes, sir. I will handle it accordingly.
Okay, thank you so much. You can sound the next item.
Next item is item 6, presentation, senior housing development proposal presented by Michael Williams.
Is Mr. Williams in the room?
Yes, sir.
I am, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Williams. I'm an attorney with the law firm Thompson O'Brien, and I'm here to present to you or introduce to you a proposal for a senior housing development in South Fulton. And I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'd like to share my screen if I can get permission, please.
Yes, you may do so.
Okay, thank you, sir. Stand by. Everyone see the slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate the opportunity to share this presentation with the Development Authority. I'm representing the Lifted Reformation of Christian Churches. This is a nonprofit corporation that was organized, comprised of 4 charter churches. You can see them listed there. The local representative is Dr. John Battle, who's the pastor of Spread the Word Ministries, which is located on Washington Road. So the inspiration for this project came from some of the conversations Pastor Battle has had with some of his congregants, and some of whom felt that they had to leave the area because they couldn't find affordable housing, and it was particularly impacting the senior population over there. And so, in light of this, they wanted to do something and determine how much of an issue this was. And they commissioned a feasibility study to look into the housing conditions, particularly for affordable senior housing. And they confirmed that there is indeed an issue. And also, I would just point out, the city of South Fulton has also confirmed that there's a need for affordable housing in the area. That's currently partnering with the National League of Cities on its own initiative. But if you look at the specific needs in Georgia, the National Low Income Housing Coalition has estimated that for Georgia alone, there's a deficit of about 194 affordable housing units. That's 194 households that are in need of affordable housing. And they estimate that it's roughly 25% is needed for senior housing across the entire state. Our assessment, specifically local to the South Fulton area, confirmed that there's a need for up to 700 senior housing units that are affordable. And given this, the church and its partner churches felt like they needed to take some action to fill that need. So the 4 churches have joined together to develop a 3-building, 240-unit senior housing complex. Each unit with roughly 56, or each building with roughly 56 one-bedroom apartments and 24 two-bedroom apartments. And they're looking at including a green space and a recreation area as part of the complex site. And I just wanted to be clear that the housing won't just be limited to congregants of the Spread the Word Ministries Church. This would be for all seniors in the South Fulton area. So I've got some concept views for you all to take a look at. So this is a bird's eye view of what the complex might look like. And let me just say out front that because it's an open meeting, I don't want to be specific about the actual location because there's still negotiations in progress, but it suffices to say it's in the Washington Road area. So if you look at this, we're starting out with 2 buildings. If you can see my cursor, this is building 1, building 2, the 3rd building we anticipate in this general area. So this is one of the preliminary site designs. This is a different view of the complex. And then from the rear of the complex, there we go. So this just kind of a general overview. Here is a view of the, if it will come up. A view of the amenities and the recreation area, this little park-like setting and a water feature. Mean for this to be a very high quality development, but affordable, something that the community can be proud of and something that will, retain residents, many lifelong South Fulton residents when they get to their golden years. We don't want them to have to leave the community for, inability to find affordable housing. And so this is meant to meet at least a part of that gap, fill part of that gap. Pastor Battle has already met with a number of city officials. And then let me back up. He is traveling, so he would have liked to have joined in the meeting, but was unable to. If he by chance joins, if y'all will let me know so we can introduce him to the group. But he's already met with a number of city officials and staff, and there's broad support for what the church is trying to do. And we anticipate that once we have a final design and construction plans that are shovel ready, we anticipate getting fairly swift approval from the city itself. So what do we need from the Development Authority today? The short answer is we're looking for general support. This is just an introduction. There's a lot of wood to chop to get this to a shovel ready product, and so we're still doing some preliminary work on our end in terms of finalizing plans and getting the financing in place. Now had some preliminary conversations with staff and bond counsel, so we're still working through the process, Mike, and we look forward to continuing those discussions. But what might we need in the future? As we finalize plans for the project, some of the things that we're looking at based on our conversations with various financing arms and our construction folks and the engineers, we may be coming back to you at some point down the road, asking for your assistance on conduit bond financing and where the church or whatever affiliate corporation is established for the specific project would be responsible for all the payments of debt service. So again, it's purely conduit. And we're still working through whether that would be on a taxable or tax exempt basis, but those are things that are being considered. Additionally, when you're talking about low income housing or affordable housing, there's opportunity to work with the Department of Community Affairs to get an allocation for certain tax credits. And so in order to do that, we would be looking to work with the Development Authority to secure that. Additionally, to the extent necessary for grant funding that requires any sort of governmental sponsor, that might be an ask down the road once we put this all together. And finally, tax abatements. And now it's a nonprofit entity, so it might not be an issue of tax abatements, but to the extent that the financing requires that to be different, we might be asking you about that. Now, when it comes to senior housing or any kind of housing project, some people, one of their first questions would be, well, what does that have to do with economic development? And I want to be clear, it has everything to do with economic development. We know that in the context of the travel and tourism, there's a whole old saying you want to get enough beds in the hotels and motels to drive economic development. Well, this is essentially the same thing. You get enough rooftops, whether they're in an apartment setting or a residential single family housing setting. The more rooftops you have, the more housing units you have, the more you drive the need for restaurants, healthcare facilities, shops, all the things associated with providing goods and services to those residents. And here, we're killing a number of birds with one stone in terms of providing affordable housing to our residents here in South Fulton, as well as driving some economic development in the Washington Road area. So that is sort of the broad introduction. I know I spoke super fast, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And we look forward to bringing back a firm final project that everyone in the community can be proud of. And we look forward to any assistance that you might be able to provide to us down the road in the future. So with that, I'll open it up to questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your presentation. Is there anyone in the queue, Mr. Clerk, with questions already?
No, sir, I do not see any hands raised or anyone in the chat.
Okay, I open it up for anyone who has a question at this time.
Chairman Baker, this is, I'm
oh.
sorry, Director Pierson.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, what role can the Development Authority have in procuring low-income housing tax credits? I mean, we're not an organization that issues them. What role could we play in low-income housing tax credits?
So and I am not an expert on that area. We would bring in bond counsel to specifically walk through that, but the State Department of Community Affairs is responsible for managing the allocations for low housing tax credits, and those are, usually done in conjunction with a sponsoring governmental authority for housing projects of this kind. And so, to the extent that we're working with you on any sort of revenue bond financing in order to provide for this, that would be layered on top of that, and would be bringing back a more extensive briefing on exactly how that works.
Okay.
Director Pollard, you have a follow-up?
No, I may have other questions later on.
Okay, Director Pierce?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Williams, for your presentation. Couple of questions. One is, I know you said with some specificity you weren't prepared to tell where in the Washington Road area, but how do you ascertain from a low, I think you said low housing or low cost housing for seniors, how do you determine the rental amount, and how do you ascertain who would apply and who would get led into that particular subdivision or whatever, the building, sets of buildings or things of that nature?
So for the tax credit piece, those standards and ratios are established through HUD in terms of the income requirements, and a certain number of units are reserved for individuals who meet those specific criteria, and so it's all governed by HUD. Now there's a possibility that a small or some portion, I shouldn't have said small, but some portion of the units would be market rate units as well, meaning there's whatever sort of a standard rate might be, but we would intend to follow those HUD guidelines in terms of the income levels that determine who is eligible to secure housing in this development.
Okay, thank you. And the last part is, from an amenities point of view, there has been some studies that senior citizens areas, from a progressive point of view, what amenities would be available to them? Because there are some folks who just have senior citizens, and then those who have robust activities that keep them young and active and things of that nature, especially for areas of people of color.
Yes, sir. What you have in front of you is just a general depiction, but we anticipate there being a water feature, a park area, and some walking trails. The project site itself is, I'll just say it's under 10 acres, so it's not a huge site, and with the parking and with the building complex itself, there's not a whole lot of area, and some of the sort of passive recreation, like I said, the walking trail, the water feature, and the park area for family.
Okay, that's all I have, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Clark, you have anyone else in the queue?
Yes, we have Director Miller.
Director Miller, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Good to see you.
Okay. Full disclosure to everybody, I used to be the city attorney at College Park, so I have a previous professional connection with Ms. Miller.
Um, question regarding it being a senior space, have they considered gating it for the safety and not knowing the location? Is it on a bus line?
Two excellent questions. I believe it is on a bus line, but I would have to confirm that.
Okay.
As far as the gated nature of this, that has not been discussed, but we can certainly add that to the discussion, particularly since we're still in the engineering phase.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, Director Pollard has a question.
You have the floor, Director Pollard.
Thank you, Chairman Baker. And again, Counselor, I would like to thank you for coming and presenting to us your project. What was it about that particular site that you liked? I know you don't want to get into any specifics, but why that site? You know, is there anything else on it right now? Are we making improvements to an area that may have some challenges? Why that particular site?
So one of the main reasons for the site is its close proximity to the church. It is undeveloped land, and you'll forgive me if I'd like to sort of leave it at that point, but those were the two primary things. It's undeveloped land, so we're not dealing with redevelopment or any issues like that. And again, it's just very close to the church.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Director Ivey has a question.
You have the floor, Director Ivey.
Thank you so much. Mr. Williams, thank you for your overview and thank you for being with us this evening. I have a statement and a question. First, my statement is that I would welcome the opportunity for Pastor Battle to visit with us to reflect on his vision for this particular project and what specifically are some of the visions that he has moving forward with this. That's one. Two, my question is, you mentioned earlier that you have a feasibility study that you all conducted. Is that feasibility study available for our review as a development authority? Two,
I will need to check with. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
please go ahead.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I need to check with my client about whether they want to provide the feasibility study, and if we did, we would certainly ask for a confidentiality agreement to go along with that.
Okay. All right. And I believe that Director Pierson asked the question earlier about what are some of the kind of requirements that you all are asking for the seniors who would be proposed applicants for this development. And I think you kind of gave just a broad overview of that. And finally, with regard to community input and public involvement, have you all given consideration to that outside of membership of your church, or has it just gone just to your client's church parishioner purview?
The housing would be open to the general public, and so it's not just limited to church congregants. But the design so far has, to my knowledge, really hasn't involved a lot of community input. It's really been in concert with the architects and engineers putting together a plan based on the feasibility study and what we show the market will can bear in terms of additional housing and again, based on the number of units, we're talking about 230 units. It's barely scratching the surface of the need. But in terms of going forward, as this gets further down the road, I'm sure Pastor Battle would welcome further community input.
Absolutely. That's precisely the answer that I was looking for in terms of making sure that we had some level of good community involvement and input with regard to this project and development. Thank you very much, Mr. Williams.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, we got anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I do not show anyone else wishing to speak at this time.
Okay, Mr. Williams, thank you so much for your presentation. For the edification of the board, I would like to share that I did speak with Councilwoman Willis. She's the District 3 council member representing the area where the proposed project would come. She is fully aware of it in great detail. I did have a question, and she is in support of it. I know that she kind of stepped back once it got to the financing aspects, from my understanding. But I just want to ask a question to you, Mr. Williams, regarding your involvement with the Downtown Development Authority regarding this matter, and the current, I guess, space, or are you currently working with them? And could you just share your history?
So you were kind of coming in and out of there. So I believe the question was what our involvement with the Downtown Development Authority of the city of South Fulton was. And
Yes.
yeah, just, I was retained by the church basically a week ago. Based on my information, there has been no discussion or interaction with the Downtown Development Authority, but it's primarily discussions with various city officials, and then some preliminary discussions with staff of the city, but economic development staff, in contemplation that would be having discussions like this with the Development Authority, not the Downtown Development Authority. So that's the extent of my knowledge.
Received. I just wanted to know and have some sort of clarity regarding that, because we're two entities and we're both trying to serve the city, and I just didn't want it to be any mishap or mix up. I do realize that there is a need for projects like this. I'm glad to say that we finally just wrapped on one in my district, in particular, in District 7 off 138 near Buffington. And there's a great need, and a lot of my colleagues have been pushing, especially Councilwoman Willis as well, for these types of developments to service the baby boomers. So I appreciate you guys coming to us. I appreciate you sharing with us, and I look forward to your return, and more so of a detail and a direct ask for clarity. So we look forward to having you guys back. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We very much appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to being a great partner with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. The next item is item 7, discussion, website enhancements, and related community outreach.
Madam Attorney?
Yes, so this topic, I know that there had been some questions by various directors about upgrading the website. So I think there were headshots. Chairman Baker, can you confirm?
Yes,
I think
yes,
there was
yes.
a need for
So
headshots as well as.
I know prior to COVID, or in the middle of it, we were trying to still move forward and forging what we needed to have for our website. I know I wanted to work with our clerk to arrange a time for directors to come to City Hall and have professional headshots for our website. I know there were some reservations due to the COVID, and now that we're slowly coming back outside, I still want to move forward with that process, as well as amplification in whatever means we need to let people know that we're open for business, especially given the current state. Fulton Industrial, in the last council meeting, we approved, I believe it was 40 new police vehicles for, not just for Fulton Industrial, but to amplify our presence on that corridor and throughout the city. And I think it's vital that businesses and potential stakeholders know that we're in existence and we're open for business. So I don't know the appropriate way to move forward in scheduling outside of the straw polls. So if you could help how we can move forward, approve us being able to amplify ourselves through mailers or this website, whatever actions we need to take, I think we need to move in that space. Madam Attorney, I guess that's what I was trying to find out as well.
Yeah, so you've, through your budget, you've set aside about approximately 9,000 for website design, email enhancement, related activities. And I think that with the initial website consultant, I think you've used approximately maybe about 1,000 of that. So if the board will agree, if that's something that you want to happen as far as bringing in that person, you would just vote tonight to authorize us to use those expenditures for that purpose.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion, if you'll entertain one. Hello?
Sure. You have the floor. I was muted. I don't
Because we
think
haven't
heard anything I said.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we move forward to finish the work we started with our website by doing the headshots and for the website and everything else that needs to be done with the development so that we can, move forward with our marketing and promotion.
Is there a second? And I think we would need to include mailing as well to that.
So can I amend my motion?
If you're okay to add amenable.
Yes, I am.
Is there a second?
Second, Ivey.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion?
I have a question. Did we have any more discussion about who we were going to have to, I guess, be the salesperson or the marketing person that was going to be using all this material? Who's going to be the face and the representative?
Madam Attorney, I think we already we did actually take action to vote on that individual some time ago. I believe everything had already been done and some of the work, the work has been done. I think we just don't have it complete and we haven't moved forward. But Madam Attorney, do you have that information?
Yeah, I think, so my understanding, Director Miller was maybe not necessarily, and please correct me for clarification, Director Miller, if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that she was asking which director, perhaps, or someone who would take the role and kind of being the spokesperson, or were you referring to it?
No, correct. Not the company we're going to use for the marketing. I'm talking about an individual that will go out and solicit business or that will take the calls when somebody comes. Who's going to be the active person in that role?
Okay, that's a totally different question.
Yeah, that sounds like an executive director.
Right.
Well, no, I think she's speaking on back when we were speaking on doing a hire, an actual hire. And we're wrapping conversations between the city and our attorneys to bring something back regarding a possible budget. And then we will move forward with that. We haven't made a move on that position yet, Director Miller. I think for the sake of this, it's more just the amplification of who we are and the fact that we are in existence, the bare minimum of what we started prior to COVID, the website that we approved some time ago. I think you're speaking on the administrative position that we discussed at some point, possibly making a hire from the Development Authority or working in tandem with the city. Am I correct?
Correct. And I do agree with you. We need something for them to market and some type of tangible brochure and website. That's what I was asking about, was who was going to be the person. So I'll wait until we
Right.
come back.
I think we're coming close to possibly having something to bring back in our next meeting. Of course, we would discuss that in executive session regarding personnel, but I've had some good conversations with the city manager, and we're looking to some solutions very soon.
All right. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Chair, may I have the floor, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to also offer that in tandem, as we build this infrastructure of communication, that often many times public involvement is really critical. We understand that that is really the lifeline of us having a clear relationship with the public and the taxpayers of the city of South Fulton. I would like to offer that also. Perhaps later on, we should consider doing a development authority town hall so that we can open up so that people can A, meet who we are, B, also take public comment and or suggestions as to what people would like to see the city of South Fulton development look like as well. And so for those who don't know that we're open for business, then they will have an opportunity to know and also know when our series of meetings will occur. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that suggestion. I think, first of all, I agree wholeheartedly. And maybe that's something that could be a part of the mailer if we can get together a date. But I think it's vital to do exactly what you said. So I appreciate the comment. Any other directors with discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, let's vote.
Yes, this is a roll call vote of a motion by Director Jiggetts, seconded by Director Ivey, to complete the previous work for the website, headshots, and mailers. Chairman Baker.
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Ivey.
Aye.
Director Miller.
Aye.
Director Pierson.
Aye.
Director Pollard.
Aye.
Director Ross.
Aye.
That item was approved unanimously.
Received. Mr. Clerk, I think we should get together and start a date for scheduling. If you will, take the same individual that you did with the city, or find if we could just put that back with you so we can start. I know there was some point when you were reaching out regarding scheduling. I'd appreciate if you put that poll back out so we can jump back into that.
Yes, sir. I'll take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I've been advised that we have Mr. Ryan Oros on the line, and he had an update. So I believe that the proper way to do this would be to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to hear Mr. Oros. He has an update. If you recall, Mr. Ryan Oros was the individual who presented to us with the retail and apartment building in District 7. They have taken the notes and made substantial changes and was coming back to present. And I think that they're still on. Mr. Clerk, are they still on?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yes.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to hear the update from Mr. Oros, if it's the desire of the body.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we amend the agenda to entertain Mr. Rose. I'm sorry if I said your name incorrectly.
Okay, no problem.
A second, Ivy.
Okay, probably move to second. Any discussion?
Question.
Yes.
When was the original presentation, by the way?
Mr. Clerk, can you advise?
Yes, it was at the April 26th. It was the last meeting, actually, April 26th, regular meeting.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk.
This is a motion to reconsider and amend the agenda. Motion by Director Jiggetts, second by Director Ivey. Roll call, Chairman Baker,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts,
Aye, I'm sorry.
Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Ivey,
Aye.
Director Miller,
Aye.
Director Pierson,
Aye.
Director Pollard,
Aye.
and Director Ross.
Aye.
That motion was approved to amend the agenda to add Ryan Oros to the agenda.
Receive. Thanks. Mr. Earls, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. No, appreciate it. It's good to see some familiar faces. Thanks for letting us present. And Council Baker, thanks for letting us join again and give you a quick update. If you don't mind, just for the sake of y'all's time, I'm probably gonna just dive into sharing the screen here, and therefore you can see an update. I think most of us were on that original call. Just to get a point of reference here, to my left here is Sonoya Highway 74, and in my north, very top of my cursor is 85. And this is the western edge of the city, South Fulton, Oakland Industrial Boulevard, Renaissance Townhome community that Rockland Homes is currently developing, or I should say adding on to. So just, I guess, quick high level, we've spent a considerable amount of time with the planning department, Shayla Reed, Nathan, really the whole team has been really awesome to deal with, quite frankly. Very collaborative in nature. We've heard what they've had to say. Craig Gearhart's with us as well, who's also part of the apartment team. I think we're on version 8 or 9, kind of lost count, quite frankly, but it's part of the process, right? We're used to this. We have made a lot of design tweaks and trying to create a community that is really focused on a quality living with a lot of amenitized environment that gives them an option of housing versus just all for sale. This is a rental multifamily unit, but as you can see here, we focused a lot on the amenities, the dog parks, the food trucks, the 2,500 square foot box, which is item C1, if you can see here. This is where the retail box is going to be. We've reoriented the buildings to really take advantage of the green space, and this is a wetlands, but it's actually going to be walked through over the trail. So we've really focused on how do we take the areas where undevelopable, make them into an amenity, and then also enhance courtyard spaces in between buildings. So the architects did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. The C1 space, which is obviously what we're here to talk about, really it's a 2,500 square foot box. And the idea is simply this: along Highway 74 with the Chick-fil-A's and the Zaxby's and the Starbucks, you know, those rents typically can be anywhere from $20 to $39 a square foot, sometimes even higher. And so for most of these businesses that maybe are as a local residents, maybe they may even live within the community, maybe they live next door, they typically have a hard time starting a business with that rent. So our thought is being more of an incubator space, quite frankly, that gives them the option to start a business, but also can hopefully make it a sustainable one that doesn't have the overhead rent that typically one would do up on Highway 74. So Craig and I did talk prior to tonight. I mean, a lot of this is still unknown on the types of businesses. I think Council Baker and I were talking, we have an idea of what we would like to see that I think it enhances the community versus detracts from it. But I think our thought and the opportunity, which was brought from Emilia, even the conversation of some sort of support or partnership, quite frankly, would be great, because our goal would want to see these businesses thrive long term, not just get them in the door. And I think Craig and I are still looking at what does that look like. I would open up to you all. I don't know what other options would be on the table from a partnership standpoint, but I think we're very much open. We can zig and zag and be flexible to whatever makes it the best fit for the community, not just something pretty to look at. So I think that's more of a question I'd love to get feedback from you all on. And Craig, I know you're still on, I believe. Please jump in and add any questions or thoughts that you might have.
I'm here. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. No, I think we wanted to just certainly, kind of re-show the plan as it's iterated. I definitely think that the L building at the corner particularly highlights that retail space in a better fashion, in the way that it kind of wraps the corner of the subject site there in more of a fashion that a retail box would fit. But to kind of iterate your point, I think we can remain flexible in exactly, what that space, who operates inside of that space, and obviously have some thoughtful discussion behind how it all be. But no, really anxious just to hear anybody's thoughts or questions overall on the plan, or particularly more on that commercial space in and of itself.
Chairman Baker, this is Director Pollard. May I have the floor, please?
Yeah, of course, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Baker. Mr. Gearhart and Mr. Oros, thank you for presenting to us this evening. Now, when you say an incubator, do you mean something along the lines of a co-working sort of scenario, co-working facility that could draw upon the logistics area, or the logistics nature of the area, maybe the airport? Is that what you mean by incubator space?
Well, I'll let you dive in a second. I think maybe it's the wrong term. I think it's a bit unknown on what it would be. I think more or less I envision this being this location, and if you follow my cursor, I would consider this primary A+ first row. This would be second row, and this would technically be a third row. So you're really not seen from the quote unquote highway of transportation unless you're on Oakland Industrial Boulevard. So in my opinion, just from a retail lens, I envision this as being more of a startup business. And again, just throwing some examples out doesn't mean this is what the intention would be. It might be a boutique retail shop. It might be a co-working, a staffing business of some kind. Something to where they can't afford the rents that you would see in the A+, but then also very much want to start a business and want to be in a quality development where in some regards you have a baked in set of business that's at your doorstep. So the use, it could be that, sir, but I don't know if specifically that to be more of transient in nature.
Sure. Thank you. I yield the floor, Chairman Baker.
May I have the floor, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I have to say, I am super excited about plans like this when they're brought before us, because we know that small business is driving America now. And it really makes me super excited to know that there will be the possibility that small businesses that are veteran-owned, women-owned, and minority-owned will have the opportunity to perhaps get in to areas that they may not have the bandwidth or be able to afford. And so I believe that it is a very good, not only story, but it's just good business.
Yeah, agreed.
To make sure that not only are you enhancing the community, but the best way to make sure and ensure that folks have great opportunities is to provide opportunities. And so I welcome my board colleagues and all of us getting down to the brass tacks so that we can share our brain trust, so that we can make this a great realization. I'm going to yield the floor, but I will say, as a 28 year anniversary history of being a business owner, had I had an opportunity to come in and have something of this type, it would have been a complete game changer for me. So kudos to your team and I look forward to seeing what more to come. I yield the floor.
Thank you for those comments.
Thank you, Director. Mr. Clerk, you have anyone else?
I do not show anyone else wishing to speak at this time.
Okay. Before I move on, I don't want to interrupt any directors. Anyone have any more comments or questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Oros. I do understand you had the community input meeting
Yes, sir.
earlier towards the end of last week, I believe.
Thursday, yes, sir.
And I appreciate that. And I look forward to this project coming before mayor and council, I think next month.
I think we're debatable last week. I think it's the 14th, but whatever that Tuesday is, I'm still waiting to confirm that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it is the 14th, but
Mark, can't hear if you're talking, Mark. Chairman Baker.
Chairman Baker. Yeah, Chairman Baker is present, but it doesn't appear that his volume is coming through.
I'd like to add, just thank you again for the comments and opportunity to present again. And I think the plan has come a long ways since April. A lot of fun tweaks and a lot of collaboration. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. And again, I welcome further comments if need be, even after this. Council Baker has my email address, of course. You're welcome to call me. I really appreciate the time. Thank you.
And Mr. Oros, this is Emilia Walker, the attorney for the. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you got my email.
I did, and I apologize. Today has been nothing but fires and putting things out, but I did, and I passed it on to Craig, who's on the call as well, which Craig will be very much the deciding body on strategies and angles. But yes, thank you. I still will confirm that later when I hang up the call, just to make sure that you have a paper trail from that.
Okay. Yeah. And so you don't need to necessarily follow up with me, but I just wanted to make sure that you do follow up with some type bond counsel. And I think that would be very helpful with getting the numbers that
Sure.
you would need to make a decision as to whether you want to present that type proposal to the board.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, sir. The next item is, I didn't have it on here. I didn't know it was executive session.
Okay. If necessary, do we have anything, Madam Attorney?
No, Chairman, I don't have anything.
Okay. I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, Chairman Baker, may I share something with my board colleagues before we leave, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am. You have the floor. You can do it now. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I had the wonderful privilege of participating in our state mandate 2-day training and learned quite a bit. And I hope that if our board colleagues haven't had the opportunity to do so, please take the opportunity out of your schedule to do so. One thing that I wanted to just say that I took away that was so important that I learned from Newton County, and their internal slogan at that development authority is, if you're not growing, you're dying. And they think about the future in 35-year increments and what they want Newton County to look like at their development authority. So as a result, they've had exponential growth. And so I just wanted to leave that with you all and tell you that I learned so much, and I hope that everyone will get an opportunity, if you haven't already done so, to participate in the board training. I yield the floor.
Steve, thank you so much for sharing. And I also would encourage directors to reach out to the clerk in regards to trainings and things of that nature that might be beneficial. I know Director Pollard sent something out as well. And we do have a budget to cover our attendance for said activities and undertakings. So keep that in mind as we continue to learn about this great information that may be helpful to us. Anyone else want to matter personal privilege before we wrap? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting today, please.
I second it.
Probably moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. It's a roll call vote to adjourn the meeting. Chairman Baker.
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Ivey.
Aye.
Director Miller.
Aye.
Director Pierson.
Aye.
Director Pollard.
Aye.
Director Ross.
Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously, and we are adjourned at 6:56 p.m.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Received. Thank you, guys. You guys take care. Be
Aye.
safe.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Thank you.